The Return of Travel Explained Summit.
Travel has changed immensely as a result of the pandemic, and companies within the travel sector are pivoting to meet this new normal. We're now joined by Ron Lonsdale. Ron is the Vice President of Collette Canada, a company he's been with for 26 years. So thank you so much for joining me today, Ron.
Thank you, Natasha. Very excited to be here and talking travel.
I'm so excited to talk travel, but I do have a question to start. I read this in your bio. How many countries have you visited?
Over 60-something countries and 6 continents. So I've been very blessed and fortunate to have to travel to all those places. But the last 17 months, we haven't been traveling too far away.
Right.
And when I look at Facebook, it always reminds you where you were 2-3 years ago, and you want to go back. And then you remind yourself how many other amazing places you haven't been to. So that would be Japan.
You already knew what I was going to ask you.
I knew you were going to say.
Where are you going? Have you been to Japan?
No.
Okay, you haven't been to Japan.
But when I was watching the Olympics, and I always say travel is the true educator.
Right.
It's one of the few things that we can buy that makes us richer. But understanding their culture, it's fascinating because they're very modernized, not westernized. And I love the food.
Me too. I definitely love the food.
Coming from British Columbia.
Yeah, but you cannot beat the Japanese food in British Columbia. So tell me a little bit about Collette and how you've adapted and pivoted since the pandemic has hit.
Great question. Well, Colette's a best known, loved brand in guided touring. We are the oldest family-owned tour operator in North America. We have 160 tours. We go to all 7 continents, and we have 5 distinctive travel styles. And to accommodate the travelers' interests and needs. And the one thing is, when you're talking about the last 17 months have been very difficult and challenging on us and the whole entire industry. Being in business for 103 years, we've gone through a lot of trying times. 9/11.
You look great for 103.
Thank you. But SARS, Zika, Ebola, the financial world crisis. So, our learnings from the past has allowed us to, adapt and pivot today. And we've been very conservative on how we spend. We incurred a lot of operational and logistic costs. And, it was our fiduciary responsibility because throughout this whole entire pandemic, if we didn't render a tour because it was canceled, we gave the clients their money back. Right. And we've given $180 million to date.
Wow.
And we still remain a gold standard in the financial stability in the industry. And I think that's important.
So I want to talk about that $180 million or 108?
$180 million.
So $180 million has gone back to people's pockets, and now we are ready to spend on travel. And so I want to ask you, what does revenge travel mean?
So in our industry, you're hearing revenge travel spending is lurking. And, through the lockdown, credit cards, declined, people were saving, and, they weren't frivolously spending. And so now that we're getting back to some normalcy, it's almost like they're going to want to spend on their freedom. And, travel is one of those where, people haven't traveled for the last 17 months, and they're going to take their time and double down on their travel. And they're going to spend more and kind of take the time to do it right.
I know I'm going to do
Yes.
that. And another thing, so when I traveled before, when I would book my trips, I would just look online, book it. But now things have changed, and I want someone there who can walk me through the places I'm going and the safety. So can you tell me what role travel agents are playing now post-pandemic?
Thank you for bringing travel advisors, because when I look at, when the pandemic struck, agents jumped in. They worked day and night, tirelessly trying to get their clients back before the borders closed. Right. They're the ones who are going to be instrumental and play the biggest role of our recovery for our business and the entire industry, because with travel requirements changing, safety protocols, they're going to help you navigate through all of this, and they're going to look after you and take your worries away and give you peace of mind, because they put joy in people's memories, and they're a conduit of that, and they play an integral part and role, and they they're going to look after us, and they're needed now more than ever.
And I'm happy you brought that up, because for me, one of the apprehensions about traveling internationally is what happens if the borders close? Who's going to bring me back? So I never thought that a travel advisor will assist with that, because I thought you were just stuck there forever and this is my new home.
Well, no, they're very knowledgeable, they're experienced, they provide added value to you because they're going to save you a lot of time and money, because when you run into these situations and you're needing to call somebody and you've booked it online, and the other thing is only 50% of travel product is only online. So these advisors are going to recommend and suggest and very get to know you personally and find out what your travel habits are, and they're going to accommodate you. So
that's a good stat to know, that only 50% of travel is found online. Yeah. I would have thought it was everything, so I'm happy you told me that.
Yeah.
So in terms of guided trips, so our last speaker, Vivian, talked about going in groups and guided trips. So what are some of the benefits of going on a guided trip with Collette?
Well, you're going with other like-minded travelers.
Right.
Safety.
Yes.
And the other thing is you're going to see places that you wouldn't probably get to see on your own. And the other thing is, when we mention guided, tour director. So I remember going on school trips, but these tour directors and tour managers, it's like traveling with your own personal confidant or concierge. Right. And they add so much enhancement, enrichment to you. And also traveling on a luxury coach. When we talk about purifications and air filters and HEPA, we're going to have social physical distancing on the coach. There's fresh air circulated. There's plenty of leg room. And the other thing is you're not driving. I mean, if you're trying to look at, renting a car and traveling Europe, that's pretty tricky and challenging. So, and also you're not queuing. Comprehensive sightseeing, meals, entertainment, and it's just, and the one thing is people don't realize you save 30 to 40% than you would normally if you did it on your own.
That's good to know, the savings. Yeah. I'm learning a lot right now.
Yeah.
So the other question I have is, what are some of the trending destinations? So where are people going right now? Like, you have access to all this data and you're seeing where people are booking. So where are people going?
It's all about the data.
It is all about the data.
So what's being searched and viewed on our website? The one thing is, there was a poll of Canadians, 68% of the people mentioned that their first international travel experience will be on a small group tour. And with one of our distinctive travel styles, it's called Explorations, which is small group immersive touring. And our product strategy was to increase it from 20 to 40, because we know people don't want to go with 44 other guests. So in Europe, we cap it at 24. And it's like traveling with your own dinner club, because it's intimate. You're getting off the beaten path. It's more the antiquities, cultures, and flavor. Culinary inclusion, cultural immersion, the major iconic landmarks and sightseeing, and we're looking at secondary visits, so people want to take a deeper dive and concentrate more on a region, and be like a local.
Which is how I like to travel. This is how I like to travel. And another thing that's really important right now is travel protection, because I want to know that if I'm booking a trip and the world goes crazy like it has been, how can I ensure that my money is safe? So tell me a little bit about Collette's signature travel protection plan and the ability to cancel up to 24 hours before I leave.
Yes.
Because I am dependable, but you never know.
Yes. Well, I think now people, when they're doing their travel plans, they want peace of mind. Yes. And they want assurance. And the best thing is to have the best insurance. So our travel protection plan that we've had for decades is change for any reason, trip delay, baggage, misconnections, medical assistance, no age discrimination, covers pre-existing. $1 million question, does it cover COVID? Yes. Does it cover COVID interruption? Yes. And we, back in 9/11, we gave $32 million back, and we were written up in all the major newspapers. And just because we didn't feel, again, if the trip was interrupted or the trip was canceled, we can't keep their people's money. And so we've given it back. So, and again, the insurance is probably works out to be about 4 to 6% of the cost of the tour, and you're protected.
That's good to know. It gives peace of mind.
It does.
For the traveler. So how are you continuing to evolve to meet the needs of the current traveler? Like, how are you keeping your finger on the pulse of what people are looking for? And I'm talking about even like preparing for our trips and ensuring our safety. Like, how is Collette walking the traveler through this?
And it's more important in that we create the right expectation.
Yes.
There's a psychology of traveling now, and communication is very important. So we want to walk people through. And the one thing is that we did, the safety and health of our guests is the first and foremost the priority. And we've implemented a Collette Traveling Well experience, and we've dedicated a full landing page because we want to educate the guests while traveling, all the safeguards and protocols we put in place, COVID training with our tour directors. Everybody needs to be fully vaccinated while traveling with Collette, and then also explaining the logistics on what the consumer or guest is going to experience while on tour. And I think we're probably become more sophisticated in the customer's experience, and we're more guest-centric because we want to make sure that all the vendors that we use that are compliant, conforming to the protocols, and that we're able to go into cities and having the guests feel comfortable and safe at the hotels while on tour. So our guides are very good about maneuvering through crowded, controlled areas. Our local experts that are fully vaccinated. So, we've taken our product designers and curators who craft these tours together, put that all in place. And so again, when you're there, you're just there to enjoy the travel.
Which is what you want.
Oh, absolutely.
And so what tips and tricks would you give to people who are planning on traveling, even in terms of going to the airport? Like, what should I be thinking about that I didn't think about 20 months ago?
Yeah. Well, the one thing is patience.
Patience.
And the other thing is what we do is we provide a know before you go guide. So we talk about what to pack. And we also talk about what the weather is going to be like, currency conversions, meals, dietary, everything. But I think the one thing that people want to know is that what the experience is going to be like. Am I going to be missing out on anything? And the one thing is, when we're looking at destinations like Ireland and Italy, and how, the trajectory of coverage and the highly vaccine rates in those countries, people are feeling comfortable going there. Right now, we've resumed operations and we have guests over in country now, both in Ireland and in Spain.
That's amazing.
And, yeah, it is. And, 98% satisfaction rate of those people coming back because we walked them through what, it's going to be like at the airport, on the coach, and at destination.
A 98% satisfaction rate is something to be proud of.
It is. And we the net performance scores, and they're very important, and our guests' valuable feedback. And for us to be around for 103 years, it's important that we get the feedback of our guests.
So you had mentioned that Tokyo, or I guess Japan, is where you would like to visit. Mm-hmm. Where would you go back to? What is one place that out of the 60 plus countries you visited? Yeah,
well, because I was traveling so much, and just like Vivian, we're going back to conferences, and people had asked that question, I'd go home. But but now I am half Scottish, half Irish, so we have a new Best of Ireland tour that we have a new foodie tour in Galway. We have a Diner's Choice in Belfast. And then when it comes to Spain, we actually have a new program that is doing the Basque Country, where we go to these cider houses. So I'm not an Epicurean, but I love food. But I want to go and revisit those destinations because we're going to different regions, and we're experiencing different things in those countries.
A foodie tour sounds like something I would be so up to going to.
Yes.
So is there any last tips or anything that you would like to tell our viewers in terms of what Collette is doing with travel post-pandemic? Yeah,
I think they need to know that we're going to give the needed flexibility.
Right.
So when they book, because right now our booking volumes, we have an uptick in advanced bookings, and so we want to put hope in people's travel calendars for the year ahead. And, we want to reconnect the joy and love of travel. So what we're doing now is when they book, 60 days prior to departure, we're going to allow them to change the tour, change the date of the tour, and with no penalties. And the other thing is that travel protection plan is going to allow people to change their mind right up to 24 hours prior to departure, full cash refund. So, and it's important because, to book early, and so that we can get the best available air schedules and secure that spot for you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ron. I learned so much from you and a lot of stats that I didn't know before. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today.
Bye-bye.